we have an incredible matchup coming up this week with the Detroit Lions. Resident Lions fan here, talking about that, and the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be hopefully a very, very big game. And I know when these games pop on the schedule, you often see these being talked about maybe a little bit earlier in the locker room, maybe things being circled. So my big question I have for you guys, we haven't seen these teams play each other since 2023. And before that, it was like 2019, not a lot of the same players. We've seen some changes since obviously the last time these two teams played, but I imagine there are going to be things that we see this week from these two teams that we haven't necessarily seen versus the other opponents. So my question for you guys basically is when you have these circled games, how much should we expect the game plan to be different versus those circled teams than what we see versus other opponents?
I would love if Cynthia pops this off as a Lions fan to lead this one here.
Well, I mean, given these specific teams, I think what we see are some trick plays. So, or what might be called a trick play. We've seen it from the Lions a lot, right? You see something where I don't know, David Montgomery passes the football, something different where they have a special game plan in play. You saw it against the Cowboys, an offensive lineman. Like you see these things where they have a specific sort of thematic based. They're a theme based team for sure. I mean, the David Montgomery stuff from last week with his whole story and not playing in Cincinnati before and just an awesome story. If you don't know it, you should go back and look at that. They do that to make the principles of what could beat the team match the identity of the team, which is a risk taking, playing for each other type of situation. So I think we see some specific plays like that. Now on defense, on the other side, they're going to have an issue because Terrion Arnold does not appear to be playing. Perhaps he's out for the season, even at the time of this recording. We don't know for sure. Sure, he's hasn't had the kind of the breakout that we would have anticipated from him, but it's not like, the Lions are missing some pieces, right? The Lions defense has some areas where they can be vulnerable, especially if you're talking about some deep passing situations, DPI being one of the issues that comes up. So stopping Patrick Mahomes and stopping whatever their Tyquan Thornton, whatever crazy thing they have for Xavier Worthy, which is also a trick play on their side, right? They use him in run concepts and in a lot of different it appears that Xavier Worthy is the straw that stirs the drink for that offense. So stopping those trick plays is going to be what the task at hand is for the Lions and figuring out how to leverage those good safeties to help figure out what happens without Terrion Arnold. Hey guys, we need your help. We've noticed not all of you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, so subscribe today.
Subscribe, hit that button.
Yeah, I'm gonna attack this from more of like an emotional standpoint of like when you got a game circled on your schedule. And I mean, as players, we all grow up and we were stars on our team. And we knew in high school when you're in the state championship game, like what time it is, or in college, if you're in a bowl game or you got a big matchup and that other player's on the other side and the scouts are going to be there to see both you, you know what time it is. And obviously we all got to the NFL. So we've all been through that. So this is like absolutely prime time matchup. When the lights are on, the most media coverage, they're going to have the tunnel fits. Guys are going to have their best fit on of the year. You're saving it for this one. First day of school, you're going to have your best cleats on. You're going to hit the cleat guy up, put the diamonds on my cleats. You know what I'm saying? You're going to make sure you have your best celebrations. Amon-Ra going to be working on the best celebrations all week. And you're locked in because you know that the whole world is watching this one because we're so engaged. And I think the stars got to be stars in these games. The stars will rise above. That's what makes them stars. That's what makes him Mahomes. That's what makes. I remember when they played in 23, Brian Branch had a pick six, one-handed tip ball pick six, right? And it's like, oh, that guy's going to be a good player. Oh, he's a good player in the league. He was a good player his rookie year when he had a pick six on Mahomes. Like I remember that play. And there's a reason why we don't know some of these linebackers from the Jags. They don't play in prime time enough. So this is a primetime game to get your Pro Bowl votes, to do this, to do that. All those things outside of it come from playing in big time matchups like this. You obviously want to play your best. You're locked in as a player. You understand when you're in those game record meetings, what they're talking about. You're taking a little more notes because you know that your Twitter is going to be on you about this one. So you gotta be on your P's and Q's because it can go the wrong way for you too. So I think it's going to be locked in. These teams are very similar from where they were a few years ago. Honestly, the Lions had a young Aiden Hutchinson They had, a young Jameer Gibbs. They had a young Brian Branch. Kirby Joseph wasn't established. Those guys are now stars in this league, right? They are like a full grown. They went from like a Charmeleon to a Charizard form of what they got going on. Now the Chiefs, I'm trying to see who was there for the Chiefs. They're aged out a little bit. Them guys are a little bit older now, right? Kelsey's a little bit older, and Mahomes a little bit older, and Chris Jones a little bit older. They've lost L'Jarius Sneed and some guys, right? But they also had some receivers. Kadarius Toney had 3 drops, right? He's not on the team anymore. I don't know how the Chiefs love their receiving core right now either, right? They had a young Rashee Rice. Is Rashee Rice playing? So I think like the Chiefs are a little bit aged from where they were a few years ago, and I think the Lions are right in the prime of it. But I think we like the Chiefs coaching staff too, of Spagnola and Andy Reid and Mahomes in prime time. So I think it's going to be a really tight one. I think it's going to be like a 1 point, 1 score, really tight, hard fought game of 2 of the better teams in the league, similar to how the last one went down.
Do you think we could tie one of Nick Bolton's hands behind his back? Does that sound okay for anyone? Okay, great. It's me too.